I've just generated a solo firefight, and let's take a look at it. And I've used the light armor guidelines. So it's a 5-round firefight, and I ended up drawing the Soviets to play. So let's take a look at the record boards for the Germans. In terms of equipment, they ended up getting 6 armoured vehicles, just a combination of Panzer 2, 3s and 4s. And in terms of their victory points, in fact I'll come back to that in a moment, and in terms of the Soviet armour, they also had 6 armoured units, and they received a number of T-26s, T-36s, a ZIS-30 tank destroyer I believe, and a couple of units that have already been deployed on the map. So it's a 6-on-6 armoured fight, and we'll come back to those victory conditions. Just take a look at the layout of the battlefield at the moment. So this is the Soviet entry end, my entry end to the field, and up north is the German entry end. And we've got a hill through here which 2 Soviet units have been already placed on, and we'll come back to those in one moment. Dominating the centre of the battlefield is this compound, farm I take it, of some sort, with a German control marker around a house in the centre there. And to the left of the field is a number of ploughed fields that are going to slow down armoured vehicles who can't use their track bonus. So from an overall picture, we've got this this hill region here, a hill here between the ploughed fields, and the farm dominating the centre. So what are the objectives for these two sides here? So now let's take a look at these victory conditions for the Germans. Okay, first one is the Soviet chooses a Soviet target unit that the German must destroy at any cost, and the Soviet places the chosen unit anywhere on the map. So I've placed that at the top of this hill, and that gives the German player 4 points if he defeats that Soviet or destroys that Soviet unit. The second German victory point condition is reconnaissance. The German chooses the Soviet unit as a recon target, which the Soviet places at least 4 X's from the Soviet edge of the map. So I've chosen the BT-7, who's snugged in behind this set of trees here at the moment, and the Germans receive a victory point at the end of each round, sorry, 2 victory points at the end of each round, if the Soviet recon target is in the line of sight of any German unit. So he's quite exposed here at the moment. He's got protection through here, but Germans coming through to the side here will be able to get a line of sight on him. So those are the 2 German victory conditions, in addition to the victory point for each unit that is destroyed. My victory conditions are: I've placed the control marker, and I receive 1 VP at the end of each round, if that's in Soviet control. So that's a objective for myself. And the other objective is I receive at the end of the firefight 2 VP for each Soviet unit that is closer to the German entry edge than the Soviet entry edge. So that's the lay of the land. I've got the 2 units already deployed. Now, when this was being generated by the firefight, I did not know which side I was playing. It was only at the completion of the generation that I learned I was playing the Soviets. And so again, it'll be interesting to see how the AI, solo AI, works with these 2 objectives. From my perspective, my tactics will be to obviously protect this unit, which is worth 4 to the Germans. Keep him up in the hill, I think, so he's got a bit of an advantage. And this unit here, the recon unit, I'm probably going to initially maybe just withdraw him to a less exposed place and bring on my other units and try and make my way to the German entry side or closer to it, in the meantime capturing that. I think the Germans are possibly slightly advantaged here with their units. We'll see how it goes. So the mission sheet is obviously a offense generated one for the Germans. Their counteractions are if no AI is in line of sight of the recon unit, an AI closest to the recon unit moves towards. If the target unit has not been destroyed, highest firepower fires at it. And mission order, mobile AI closest to a unit into whose flank it can move towards. So whether I have to tweak that or not for the Germans, I will. I'm after the best gaming experience, and it's not going to be at the expense of having an AI that performs silly maneuvers at times. So that's the setup for the firefight. We'll let you know how it goes. Okay, it's the end of the firefight, and the Soviets have pulled the pin on round 4. We've just taken a pasting from the German armour, and we ended up with a loss of 8 victory points, German victory points, and we've decided to just retreat on round 4. So comprehensive victory to the Germans. Let's take a closer look at what happened. So as you can see from this angle, the bulk of the fight took place in the centre of the battlefield around the farmyard. Just remembering that that was the control objective. It started off with me advancing my units up this road here to this fence line through here. I managed to get 4 armoured vehicles sitting along the fence line even before the first German entered the map from the north. When they did enter, they made their way up the road one at a time, and they took some shots from the Soviets manning that fence line. The initial shots were ineffective, and because of the poor quality of these tanks on the eastern front at this time, reflected with their high activation cost to shoot of 5 and 6, these Soviet tanks took shots and then were pretty much immediately spent, allowing these not that strong panzers to come up and get into position. The Soviet armour tried to get into the farmyard itself before more German panzers arrived on the scene. They actually took control of the control point here, the farmhouse, for a short while. But essentially the telling point in this firefight was that although the panzers aren't that strong, they could get shots off and not get spent, enabling them to get round behind these spent Russian units and attack them from the flank and just take them out. Had the Soviets been lucky in some of their earlier shooting, they might have knocked out a few of those German tanks, but that wasn't to be the case. So it ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Soviet tanks being taken out. This last one here decided that it was just too much to hang around, it was getting too hot, with 2 still on the field and 2 in the distance still yet to come onto the battlefield. So in fact the Germans won without even getting all their armour onto the field. So a significant win to the Germans, and I'm not sure if I can do this better again if I try it, but I think I'll give it another run, see if I can get a better roll of the die, maybe try some different tactics. But we're really hampered here with this poor Russian armour, I think. Okay, so that's the firefight. Hope you enjoyed that quick run through.